I'm Banks.
I'm Josh.
Odd places going. Take it, Josh.
Viral, this way, that way, always.
There you go.
So here we go. We had a fun one last time. I want to ask you a question. Do you think slavery is still alive and well? Do you think it exists? Does slavery still exist?
I think slavery exists in the mind. Uh,
Fine.
okay. Let me back up. Slavery, there is trafficking, human trafficking, which I think is a form of slavery.
Yeah.
So that's a physical form of slavery. There are domestic partnerships that I feel, that is slavery. However, the person in the partnership cannot get out for financial, emotional, whatever reasons. So there is that. And then I think most of the slavery we find in ourselves, and we do it to ourselves. We enslave ourselves. We don't think these thoughts, or we don't think of the possibility because life has dealt us whatever hand that we had. So there, that's my answer.
Okay. I like it. So basically we're all in slavery in a way, it sounds like. Because where do you draw the line? Addiction, is that not a form of slavery?
Ooh.
Is not, all these things that we've talked about in the past where you're compelled against your will, quote unquote. So I'm just wondering, is there a line, or are we all enslaved to some extent?
Okay, so let's look at addiction there. I feel that you have a choice to be addicted or not to be addicted. You could have an addictive personality. The choice lies with you. So as far as slavery being a part of that, I don't think slavery is, I don't see slavery in addiction, is what I'm saying.
Well, and I would have to counter that respectfully, just because to my definition of addiction means you don't have a choice. If you have a choice, it's a preference. Like, oh, I like vanilla versus chocolate, but that's okay. That's a preference. But when you're addicted to vanilla and you can't stop eating it or whatever, it becomes less of a choice, I think. I don't know. I'm asking, I guess it's a fine line.
Okay. So AA is people that have been in it for decades, and they have harnessed their addiction. They have navigated their addiction in a way that they're not. They're still addicted. They do say that I'm an addict. However, they control it. They have a choice every day to wake up. Do I want to drink or not want to drink? So I have a rough time looking at addiction as no choice, because I feel we have a choice in everything in our lives. Everything. What I'm going to think next, this shirt that I wore, I'm not wearing long pants.
Yes.
I comb my hair before here. I'm drinking water. I'm drinking coffee. You're talking about addiction in the way of you cannot change it. I cannot. It is going to. I don't know. I'm putting.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I'm definitely talking about in the way of where you cannot change it, but the person telling you can't change it is yourself. That's the difference. For me, addiction is when you're so convinced yourself you can't change it. Of course, anything can be changed.
No.
I'm talking the mental addiction. You mentioned mental slavery.
Yes.
That's where I would place addiction.
I still think you have a choice. You're right. You're right. If you think you do not have a choice, then you are a slave to yourself.
That's it. That's my point.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely get that. What you're talking about is reprogramming, re-institutionalizing or deinstitutionalizing, a different way of thinking. I went through a transformation years ago through just, what am I thinking? Why do I think this way? And doing self-examination on my self-examination. And I looked, and by looking at it now, talking about slavery, I realized, wow, I was really enslaved. And it was me that was enslaving myself. I was thinking this way because, oh my gosh, I can't think of something now, but everybody loves me or everybody hates me or whatever. Everybody hates me.
Yeah. But we usually think about slavery in terms of one person owning another against their will. right?
Mhm.
The physical form of slavery. But even that, I can bridge that back to mental slavery. Just the thought that you have the right, you convinced yourself you have a right to own another person, or I think it all comes back to mental slavery. That
Right, right, right. Let's talk about owning another person. And that is, I mean, I alluded to this earlier in domestic relationship, domestic
yeah.
partnerships, where a husband and wife have been married for whatever, 30 years, and the wife cannot get out because
Well, no, the wife can, according
can,
to your definition,
yes,
because we always have a choice. However, I agree with you that mentally, she's telling herself she can't,
she can't get
and
out
he's
because
telling,
right, right. I'm going to put up with this for whatever reason, for my kids, because I don't have enough money, because I can't be alone, because I don't want to be alone,
right?
because I don't want to start all over again, because I don't want to get into another relationship, whatever it is. Um, these excuses, here we go, ready? These excuses are the bars of our slavery that we
Yes.
use. And instead of going, you know what? I don't want to live this way anymore. I'm taking the bars away. I'm not going to stop. I'm stop. I I will stop using excuses to be this way. I'm not going to give, and that brings up a great point about excuses. I mean, how many times do you use an excuse for anything?
Oh, probably daily, I'm sure, even without even realizing it. I tend to realize it, believe it or not. I try and at least be aware of it. But yeah, I'm no doubt I screw up all the time.
When I find myself using excuses, I stop and go, wait a minute, I'm putting a bar up. I'm creating an obstacle
Yeah.
that doesn't need to be there. Um,
I like your analogy too, because I'm going to move here. Because the other day I posted something that our right to freedom is only superseded by our right to live in the cage of our own ignorance.
yeah, yeah, and
Right?
this goes back to a topic you really like to talk about, and that is ignorance. And your whole concept is, I mean,
Yes.
if I'm is become educated, eliminate the ignorance that way, and then make your own choices. Then have a intellectual um, decision. Make a decision that's well researched. Yeah.
Correct. Exactly. No, you can't make a decision if you don't know all the options, or you're going to make a bad decision if you don't know all the options, if you're not open to not being ignorant.
Okay. So why talk about slavery? Why do you see that in our world now that we are enslaved, or are you talking about in general humans are basically enslaved in their own brains, or I don't know, physical?
Kind of all the above, kind of all the above. But I guess also what I'm seeing now, what we're seeing now with there's a lot of racial divide, there's a lot of the protests and rioting. And I think a lot of folks are stuck in their own heads. They're they're a slave to their own upbringings, their training, their conditioning, and it's blowing up, and it's getting bad again. It'll go away, it'll quell, but it's just a shame it has to happen like this. Because I was reading Martin Luther King, his letter he wrote in jail in 1963, and I'm like, he could have written that today. It would have been 100%. If, a couple of the words, right, but the actual essence of it, the words would have been different, but the essence would have been identical. It's like, have we gone nowhere in 50 years? Nowhere. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, yeah, that definitely, yeah. We have gone somewhere. We have gone somewhere. I feel becoming more homogenous. Homo- we're becoming, we're starting to look like each other. And when we start to look like each other, it's going to be harder to differentiate between, oh my God, he's black or red or green or yellow, or she's this, or
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, she looks like me. What, he looks like me. When
And
we
do you mean
all,
homogenous in thoughts,
yeah,
homogenous in thought, or actual physical appearance, or what?
physical appearance. We're going to start. I think we're starting to look the same. We are looking alike. My children are half Taiwanese, half American, and they could pass for Asian. They could pass for American. They could pass for German. They
Yeah.
could. I mean, we are becoming closer, a smaller world in that regard. Um, so you see this slavery in ourselves we're stuck in our own jail cells of thought. Right?
Yes.
That's actually pretty good.
We talk about freedom, but we're stuck in our own jail, the jail of our ignorance. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's.
So we just got to find the key. That's all.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'm Josh.
Place is going
Viral.